And Ms. Gordon, we can begin. Mr. Smith is here, so you do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Can you see community? Are you logged into community?
No, I'm not.
Would you like for me to take the meeting, Ms. Gordon?
Yes, can you go ahead and start it, please, so we won't? Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Good afternoon. This is the academic committee meeting of November 20th, 2024. Starting at 5 p.m. This meeting is being televised at the district office location. And we're now calling this meeting to order. First on the agenda, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone can please stand. Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty, and
and
justice
justice
for all.
Ms. Gordon, can you see the screen?
I can, thank you.
Right.
And thank you, Mr. Smith. Can we now have approval of the agenda, please?
Yes, but we will need to not do the with the removal of the October 30th 30 minutes meeting, and those meetings will appear, but not this one.
Sorry, what did you say, Mr. Smith?
I said I will approve the agenda. I will approve the agenda with the removal of the minutes of the October 30th, 2024 committee meetings minutes. Excuse my tongue got tied.
Can I get a second?
You will have to be the one to second since Ms. Middleton is not here.
Okay, then I second. Thank you.
And you call for the vote.
Okay. All those in favor?
Mr. Smith raised his hand. Thank you.
Okay, and I raised my hand, Miss Cushionberry. So unanimously approved? The motion has been approved. Thank you.
Do not have public comments.
No, there are no public comments at this time. Thank you, Miss. Thank you, Miss Cushionberry. Okay. Again,
And I'm moving it down. Can you see?
yes, thank you. I can see that. Thank you. I appreciate your diligence with me. I've had some vision concerns, so I may be a little slow here. And thank you so much. Okay, so on the docket tonight, we have OE 13 discipline. And is that OE 6-3? No,
we'll
that's
start OE 13 discipline, and then they have a lot of documents that follow up under that.
follow up on the feedback summary on discipline matrix and student code of conduct.
They'll go through all of that.
Okay. Got it. All right. Is Dr. Stratus and her team there?
Absolutely, ma'am. We have Dr. Lee is joining us this evening.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we have Dr. Skaggs. We have Ms. Murray. We have counsel in the house. We have our district nurse in the house. And then we have a follow-up of our committee chair for the Health Advisory Committee as well, ma'am.
Okay. As you can see, the academic committee has been quite busy. So I am going to turn this over to Dr. Stratus and her team. And thank all of you who are here tonight. Thank you.
Madam Chair, thank you once again. At this time, I do want to have the opportunity to present Dr. Mela Lee. She's our Deputy Superintendent. She's working with our Director for Student Services as well regarding, if I'm correct, OE 13. And then Ms. Murray will be addressing OE 14 in support with Nurse Sundro.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Dr. Lee.
So this evening, we're back again to do OE 13 to provide our documentation from last year to show that we upheld everything we needed for OE 13. Dr. White is not here this evening. Her mother passed away yesterday. So yes, so I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. And right now we will have Dr. Skaggs that will present our OE 13.
All right, well, thank you for having me. I'm going to present OE 13, which is discipline. And this is, let's put together by the Student Services team.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, OE 13 covers these 13 indicators, and tonight we're going to provide evidence that we did meet all 7 of these indicators last year on 23-24 school year.
And this is the OE that was coming, that was coming back, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this, okay,
Yes, it's the OED that looks at, just to make sure that we met all the indicators for last year,
correct.
right? Okay. So there, there's 7 different indicators, and we're gonna go through those. Okay. So the 23, and excuse me, I got one contact in, so if you see me kind of looking weird, that's why my eyes already on this side, so probably I think we kind of share that tonight. So the 23-24 school year highlights Beaufort County School District's ongoing commitment to creating and maintaining a safe, structured, and supportive learning environment for all students. A multi-tiered system of support provides a proactive, data-driven framework that has been essential to the district's effort to guide the integration of behavior management strategies, behavioral curricula, and targeted intervention across all schools. 13.1 is stakeholder involvement. The district commitment to stakeholder involvement was evident in the development of the updated discipline matrices and also the updates to the administrative regulations below. Policies were designed to address the needs of the Beaufort County School District community. We implemented feedback mechanisms, including surveys, focus group discussions. We gathered diverse perspectives from stakeholders during the revision process to ensure a comprehensive approach to the discipline matrix. Inclusion of interventions for repeated behaviors within the discipline matrix fosters collaboration of parents and community in managing student behavior. One piece of evidence is these are our committees. There are 4 different discipline matrices within the district: early childhood, elementary, middle, and high. And we gathered various stakeholders who work in each one of these levels to help us design each discipline matrix. (13.2) was informing stakeholders. Beaufort County School District prioritized keeping all stakeholders informed of disciplinary expectations through multiple channels. We do that through staff training, parent-teacher meetings, newsletters, our Beaufort County School District website. Also, our discipline matrices illustrate how expectations are taught, modeled, and reinforced. Our administrative regulations are posted via the Beaufort County School District website. And communication efforts promote consistency across the district. (13.3) looks at consistent enforcement of discipline policies across the district. The discipline matrices outline interventions and progressive consequences to ensure consistent application of Beaufort County School District's policies through guided administrative actions. Each matrix is designed to guide administrators as they assign actions. These parameters maintain consistency while allowing adjustments for severity, mitigating and aggravating factors, and the inclusion of multi-tiered systems of support. Infractions are categorized into 3 separate levels defined by the state, and that regulation is provided in your packet. And administrative regulations were also updated to ensure compliance and due process. The following regulations guarantee procedural rights and provision ensuring compliance with federal, state, and local laws for fair discipline. And those are also included within that as well, the three updated regulations, SS 16, SS 39, and then our newly implemented regulation SS 40, which is reentry. Here are some quick stats from last year. This is comparison from 2022-23 school year to 2023-24 school year. We do have an insight slide, kind of the next slide, but right now, if you just want to kind of take a look at that, and then we'll get to some of the insights in the next slide. All right. So some of the key insights for the office referral comparisons from the 22-23 school year to the 23-24 school year were: there was a slight increase in overall referrals. There were increased intervention attempts for contacting parents and conferencing with students. There was a decrease in out-of-school suspension assignments. There was a slight increase in in-school assignments, reflecting the district's preference for addressing behaviors within the school environment. And the day of the week and the grade levels remain consistent from year to year. Here are some specific discipline data points that we did really put a lot of effort into the last couple of years. Later slides will kind of get into some insights and some of the things we did to kind of reduce these numbers. Assault-related incidents were reduced by 12%. Tobacco-related incidents were reduced by 28%, and that does include vaping and anything tobacco-related into one. Threat-related incidents reduced by 26%. Fighting reduced by 17%, and then bullying, harassment, or intimidation kind of grouped together for a total reduction of 32%. From the 2022-23 school year to the 23-24 school year, there was a reduction in most of our major offenses. Some key insights there. Of course, there were some significant reductions in behaviors that impacted the learning environment. Decreased occurrences of violent and disruptive behaviors, decreased occurrences of tobacco and drug-related infractions, and decrease in bullying, harassment, and intimidation infractions. These were some of the major changes that from the discipline matrices from the year prior. We did a very big overhaul of our discipline matrix last year, which those committees, each committee did contribute to that overhaul. But some of the biggest differences that helped kind of reduce some of those major infractions, but also increase, as we're going to get to in later slides, is to kind of increase some of our hearings. Because, like, for example, assault in 22-23, the first offense was up to 6 days OSS, right? With our new matrix we implemented last year, that first offense was 5 to 10 days out of school suspension and a referral to alternative school. So same offense, different consequence, right? Drug-related offenses. 22-23, first offense was up to 6 days and referred to alternative school. There's a big difference though. First offense 5 to 10 days in the new discipline matrix with the referral for expulsion. Here's a couple other, we didn't put them all here, the discipline matrix is there, but there's a couple other big ones that, you know, were pretty significant. 2022 major disruptions was actually a level 2 infraction, and the first offense was up to 2 days ISS. 23-24, the major disruption that really does disrupt the entire learning environment. The first off, it was moved to a level 3 infraction, but that first offense was 3 to 5 days out of school suspension and referred to alternative school. Fighting. 2022-2023, third offense was up to 10 days OSS, referred to alternative school, and 23-24, that went to the second offense. A lot of these changes were, or not a lot, all of these changes were based on stakeholder input through the surveys, through our focus groups, through conversations with parents, through conversations with teachers, administrators. So all these changes were based on a lot of stakeholder input that drove the changes here in the matrices from 22-23 to 23-24. 13.4 indicator was informing the board of any major changes. The board did receive a updates to the district policy manual and revised progressive discipline matrix. Some of the regulations that were updated last year and presented to the board were SS 16, which is disciplining students with disabilities, SS 39, which provides guidance for suspensions, expulsions, and alternative placements, and then also SS 40, which was guidance for reentry of students with disciplinary records. .5 is policy guidelines. Beaufort County School District personnel follow policy guidelines through providing timely parent notification for hearings and interventions. We also updated the school administrative checklist that included parent notification documentation, just as a reminder for all administrators. We monitor the district discipline data. We provided targeted support. We provided guidance related to discipline matters every day. And then also we provided ongoing professional development on discipline practices for different leaders, principals, and school staff. The next slide has some hearing data. If you remember the last meeting, we didn't actually break it out, but what we did this time is kind of broke it out. And if you realize when you look at this, you'll go back to the discipline matrix changes and you'll see kind of the difference in why some of these numbers went up. We did put the actual infractions that led to hearings and also the infractions that led to expulsions. And if you do notice some of the key insight comparisons here is some of the transfer 22-23 to 23-24, there was an increase in overall referrals, overall hearings, but like I said, due to discipline matrix changes. There was a decrease in violent and drug-related infractions, but still increase in hearings for these infractions due to changes in the discipline matrix. There was an increase in expulsions, but again, due to changes in the discipline matrix, and then also a focus, we kept a focus on maintaining a safe and orderly environment. We're going to get into this in just a little bit, but we're really heavy on intervention for low level. But we wanted to keep our schools as safe for all of our students and staff as possible. And also, even our alternative school is technically an intervention as well. 13.6, consistency across schools. The revised 23-24 progressive discipline plan and discipline matrix ensure consistent enforcement across all schools. Tiered interventions and consequences for infractions within the MTSS framework, and age-appropriate and development-appropriate interventions. And then again, there were updates to some of our administrative regulations to ensure consistency in practice. Again, those were SS 16, which also feeds into SS 18, SS 39, SS 40 again, and then IS 16. And then 13.7, intervention strategies. Beaufort County School District personnel focused on maintaining a safe school environment through the following intervention efforts. One, we did do changes to the discipline matrix. The matrix across all grade levels utilized MTSS, early intervention, and proactive support. We also put guidance inside the matrix, which we'll show you in the next slide, that did provide like basic intervention for administrators and teachers to use, but also went to a school-based student services model. We also brought in some curriculums. One curriculum we expanded on from the year before, which was Too Good for Drugs. And then another curriculum we actually brought in, Overcoming Obstacles curriculum, which is an emotional intelligence curriculum that includes decision-making, problem-solving, communication. This is on the front page of every one of our discipline matrices now. As of last year, this is the first time that we've had this. What this does is kind of some of more of our classroom type behaviors. We give the teachers the ability to manage some of those, and we actually give them strategies over here on the right side. If you go to the right side there, it gives different strategies, different interventions they can use inside their classroom to help prevent these from continuing. Trying to keep some of that power to the teacher and trying to have them maintain their relationships and implement interventions within the classroom as well. And this, like I said, is on every one of our matrices now, from our early childhood, our elementary, our middle, and our high school, all have this as the front page. That was one of the biggest differences. Again, it's important to note and always keep in our sight that continuous improvement is always our goal. 7592. The emphasis remains on early intervention, multi-tier systems of support, and a constructive approach to discipline. Beaufort County School District will use data to refine strategies to sustain and improve our positive outcomes.
Ms. Gordon has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. As you're giving us this overview, you mentioned entry and re-entry of students.
Yes, ma'am.
What does that look like?
Okay, so we get a lot of students that may be coming from other districts, that could have come from like an alternative school and expulsion, and they'll try to come into Beaufort County and kind of not let us know about that. And then sometimes they were kind of just going right into the schools. Now we have a process in place where they meet with the committee, we design an intervention for them, and we set them up for success coming into our schools rather than just, letting them just straight in, and hoping they do well. Also, for some of our students who do get in trouble in the community, either our students or other district students, like they end up going to DJJ or some type of other facility due to some type of behavior or some type of breaking the law. It's the same process for them coming back to us. We meet as a team. We design intervention plans, safety plans, whatever they may need, and help integrate them back into the schools a little more strategically rather than just enrolling and they just kind of going back in there. So that's one of the biggest, I'm sorry, not the biggest, but that was one of our new administrative regulations that we implemented, was trying to make that more of a structured process for students.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any other questions? Thank you.
And one thing I will say that I do believe that the classroom teacher management matrix, I have talked to a couple teachers about that, and I've told them that I think that is something very important, because what happens is every time you call that home, every time you call that administrator, and we have a problem in your classroom, then that screams out to that administrator that you have a classroom management issue problem. So therefore, it ain't really the kids, it's you, because you can't manage it. I mean, people may say that's not becoming to say public, but no, that's a true factor, because the same thing as in the home. We tell these we say these public meetings that the parents must get involved. The parents are the first teacher. The parents, okay, well, the same thing has to happen in the classroom. That same authority, that same power has to transfer in the classroom, because if that teacher is calling someone every second to discipline students, then that means that teacher will not be able to successfully teach students. I mean, so therefore, if you can't teach students and you can't get your lesson plans on the way, then that is a serious issue. I had a parent last night at the meeting spoke about those kinds of things. So that's very important. So thank you. So I want to say kudos, and hopefully that we're continuously pushing that in, helping teachers understand that there's a reason why that's being given.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Ms. Gordon, is it unanimous to move this to the consent agenda?
Do I have a motion? Do I need a motion, or we just go ahead?
And if you all agree, then it's a motion by consent.
Okay.
Mr. Smith agreed.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah,
Mr. Smith?
Doc, I don't have a problem with moving this to the agenda.
Consent agenda, okay.
I actually,
What do you have a problem with?
now I don't have a problem moving to consent agenda, but I just think that we is this during the work session or is this during the board meeting?
This will be during the regular board meeting, so
Okay.
it's not come up during the work session.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, yeah, we can move to consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Okay. It has been moved that this is moved to the consent agenda. Thank you, Dr. Skaggs.
Thank you.
Okay,
Next, you have OE 14.
thank you, Ms. Cushenberry.
And for OE 14, we have Andrea Murray that will be presenting for us.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Murray,
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
good evening, thank you.
And Mr. Smith.
You gonna own it?
I don't know.
That's what they say.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am here to present OE 14, Learning Environment and Treatment of Students. I can't see. Oh, thank you. These are the 4 points of OE 14, and of course, the purpose is to establish and maintain a learning environment that is safe, respectful, and conducive to effective learning. The different points are the climate, to support staff efforts to address student behaviors, to work in partnership with parents, DSS, and to expedite return of students, to ensure confidential student information is properly used and protected, and of course, to provide equal educational opportunities in a safe, healthful, non-discriminatory, and secure environment for all students. Beaufort County School District ensures that students experience a secure learning environment in accordance with, of course, federal, local, and state laws. We're committed to providing training to all Beaufort County School District personnel and establishing systems that uphold our dedication to fostering a learning environment that is safe, secure, respectful, and nurturing. And of course, an environment that is designed to enable each student to thrive academically and personally. Through continued collaboration, students are provided a school environment where staff provide each student with enrichment and support in academic, health, career, personal, and social emotional development. Healthy students are eager to come to school daily, engage in learning, and have positive social interactions with teachers, peers, and parents. And of course, positive relationships encourage them to set short and long-term goals with the steps on how to help them achieve lifelong success. Governance, in terms of this slide, it examines the OEs that were updated during the 23-24 school year, and it's SS 23 harassment, intimidation, and bullying, SS 24 tobacco use by students, SS 25 drug and alcohol use by students, and SS 51 mandatory reporting of child abuse and neglect. And all of these, of course, continue our overarching goal of creating a learning environment that, again, is safe, respectful, and conducive to effective learning.
With the under this governance, is this the area that Mrs. Swinton used to cover at one point? In terms of how does that kind of?
This is the same, this is the same area that we covered on last year when we did OE 14 last year as well.
But going back some years ago, Mr.
Possibly,
Answer
yes.
to that issue.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm just trying to when I hear some of the key phrases that you I'm just trying to relate those in terms of
And she and
understanding the
I,
process.
coordinate with
Right.
each other.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. I'm just trying to correspond together. Yes, ma'am.
evidence in terms of OE 14, specifically 14.1 and 14.2, training opportunities for personnel, annual safe schools training that includes Title IX, staff conduct, bullying recognition and response, FERPA, student boundaries, child abuse, mandatory reporting, crisis response readiness, we, as a district, we use the prepare model training, and that was developed by educators that had firsthand crisis response experience. And it's a curriculum that emphasizes a multidisciplinary crisis management and recognizing the unique nature of crises to schools in particular. We do school-based threat assessment and management, and that is based on the South Carolina Department of Education's adopted model, which also is through NTAC in the Secret Services model. And that's designed to provide guidance for our school-level threat assessments and protocol. We have nonviolent crisis intervention, which is used to equip staff to recognize and respond to challenging behaviors in everyday crisis situations safely. And then suicide risk assessment and prevention training. And that is to look at the assessment process, warning signs, risk factors, protective factors, and increase the knowledge and awareness in working with students, and also to ensure compliance with administrative regulation SS50, which is suicide awareness and prevention. On this slide, we have evidence of some of the trainings that I just spoke about. The prepare model, we were able to train 42 staff last school year. We worked on 10 actual staff members within the district to become prepared trainers, so we would not have to bring in folks from outside to come in. We wanted to build within our own district. So we were able to train 42 staff last year with behavior threat assessment and management. We were able to train 118. This year, that training has been occurring every month since August, with the exception of this month. Non-crisis intervention, we trained 115 staff. Last year, we spoke about the Women in Philanthropy grant that we received in the community, and we were able to have 22 staff members trained to be mental health first aid professionals, and we had 13 of those 22 to go on and become youth mental health first aid instructors. So they have the capacity to teach youth mental health first aid, not only in our schools, but in our community as well. Monitoring. The next slide deals with chronic absenteeism, and there's a comparison with the 22-23 school year and the 23-24 school year, and we did go up slightly, almost 2.5%, give or take. However, we're continuing to develop initiatives and work with some programs to address attendance and provide interventions as early as possible. This year, we have Everyday Labs, which is actually assisting and working with our McKinney-Vento families. Those are families experiencing homelessness, because of course, they're included in this number. And it is hard when you have folks who are steady moving and trying to arrange transportation, and it does create some unfortunate absenteeism. Next slide is our See Something, Say Something. And anti-bullying, Dr. Graham is not here. Fortunately, she got injured today and she's not able to join us. She's actually at the emergency room right now. But she's okay. So I just have to kind of look over. I wasn't prepared to present. But I will say that when you're looking at the data, that it actually reports all instances and all occurrences that came through See Something, Say Something that required additional investigation, going out to schools, kind of figuring out what happened. So everything that shows reported was not necessarily a bullying incident. It could have been something that was dealt with through discipline or through mediation, conflict resolution. But unfortunately, See Something, Say Something did not make that delineation to let us know which is why we've gone on to a new system this year called Stop It. That is able to kind of give us more of an in-depth report and in-depth look at the data. These are McKinney-Vento numbers, in comparison, 22-23 to 23-24. Of course, our numbers have increased. We've had a lot of apartment complexes that have been sold to be turned into luxury apartments. We've had a lot of landlords who are deciding it's better to sell the house than to rent the house. And folks are facing we have a lot more families facing eviction in the past year and a half. And most recently, we even have folks relocating as a result of Hurricane Helene. Yes, I had to turn those numbers into the state today, and I didn't realize how much of an increase we had in just a 3-week period of time. So.
Well, when that also speaks to, at a meeting I was at last night too, they were talking about the growth in the school. How many students how many people are transferring in this area, and even on this side of the Broad, and it's just trouble. It's troublesome. I'm glad that this report is bringing it up, because it takes all of us to not just to understand, not just to just go over this report and overlook it, but these are things that in our days and months and years of moving forward and how we move as a district, is that we have to take this and keep this in the front of our minds and not the back of our minds, because even county council and our various partners that who you deal with, and in terms of the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and also what's some of those other United Way, like. These are conversations that our partners must need to know about, because these are kids that are coming to our district that they are our situations. So I just wanted to bring that up, because this is something definitely I will look to speak about, because people need help. It's unfortunate. It is some of our duty to get them there. Thank you.
Gaggle is our safety software that's designed to monitor student accounts on their district issued devices. It immediately notifies district and school level officials of any potential threats to student safety. We have an after hours component, so when we are not working, it goes to the non-emergency dispatch number, and they reach out to the municipality in which the student lives to ensure that an officer goes out and follows up. The primary objective, of course, is to protect students from harmful behaviors and take proactive measures. The Student Services Human Services Coordinator, which is me, is our designated administrator and point of contact for Gaggle. These are some insights for the year 23-24, which the 38,217 counts for the items that were reviewed by Gaggle, and the 328.2 is the number of hours. Throughout this, it breaks down into the different categories and gives you more information. And as you go through the slides, it even lets you know what schools, is it more in elementary, more in middle, more in high, and it lets you know the schools that had the most occurrences. But I will say Gaggle has helped us in terms of finding out about potential threats in our building, in our community. We've also worked well with different police jurisdictions. And some of the jurisdictions now have mental health folks on staff, and we do get a lot more follow-up now. That is phenomenal that they have that now, but we do work all in tandem with each other. And in terms of our safety and behavioral threat, I'm sorry. You have something?
Oh, no.
And in terms of our safety and behavioral threat assessments, it has the comparison, and it breaks it down: low risk, moderate, high, the number of assessments completed. And of course, that's the suicide safety assessments at the top. And then when you see substantive, low, transient, those are the threat assessments.
In this district?
So,
Those are from this district?
yes,
That's here.
that was last year.
Ms. Gordon, that's the end of the presentation, and I forgot to let you know that Mr. Dallas and Mr. Campbell are also on Zoom.
Well, thank you. Mr. Dallas or Mr. Campbell, do you have a question or comment?
No, this is a very good report. Thank you.
It is. It is. Mr. Dallas?
He's still muted.
Okay. Mr. Dallas?
Mr. Smith has a question.
Mr.
Oh.
Smith?
He's unmuted. He's unmuted now.
Yes, I've been outside. I got some vendors here. Yes, Mr. Smith, or whomever.
Although you go ahead, we were asking, or Mrs. Gordon were asking, did you have any questions or did you have anything to say about the report?
No, it was very thorough. One of the things it was for me was an education on all the intricacies and things that have to be done. It was a massive amount of work. And so I really appreciate that. There were 32 different documents for a total of 239 pages, and there was a lot of detail in them. And I know each and every one you had to go through and look at what had to be revised or what have you to make sure compliance. And so I really, really do appreciate the efforts that's been put into it.
Mr. Dallas, I did make sure that you got the 24-25 crisis counseling manual that we spoke of in the last meeting.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Hey, I want one of those. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, my question was gonna be, at the last meeting now, so you still do have gag, I know that the security, Grissom and, Mr. Cunningham, so they have a mechanism that could call them, but so you.
Yes, they're included in the gaggle.
Right,
I'm number 1, Ms. Littleton's number 2, Dave Grissom is number 3, and Steve Cunningham is number 4, if they have to call and reach out to someone. So they get all the notifications that I do.
Right.
The 4 of us get everything.
and I think, but in his last OE, he brought us one too, where he is the first point of contact, and which do you remember which one, how does these two correlate with each other? If you remember?
Yeah, he has archives. I don't do, this is strictly, gaggle is strictly student devices. If they type something on their device, you know, a threat or a self-harm,
Okay.
that's different from archive social. Two
So,
different things.
and okay, and
Archive social is social media, if something comes out that there's a threat or
Gotcha,
that they have thoughts that something's gonna happen, then that goes straight to Dave.
Okay.
So we're hoping to catch those threats, concerns by different
Right.
avenues.
Right, and the reason why I'm asking that is because now I remember that you being the police, the Gaggle police. But but I really, and to my point was, when you get threat assessments, you call parents to confirm or convey. What is that process?
It depends on how it starts. The main thing is if we get a threat is to get to the student, because the first thing, of course, safety is paramount. And we want to interrupt that cycle from ideation to carrying it through. So that's the first thing we do. We get the student, if there's a threat or if a student types, you know, I'm afraid so-and-so said they're gonna do this or what have you. The first thing is to get that student and make sure that they don't have access. We, limit the access.
Right.
We immediately go into a behavioral threat assessment. Yes, the parents are called. Yes, the parents come in. Depending on the level, The student may leave, the student may stay, but the parents are always notified. Part of the process on all the forms, and it's in the attachment with the crisis manual, is that you have to document that there was parent contact. You have to document that there was a student conference. You document who did what, who will do what to follow up, what the management plan may be. All of that is a part of the process.
Right, but you get those on the weekends though too, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, because she said go her on the weekend.
And now, after hours takes care of the weekends, but by chance, because they're in tune with Power School, let's say they get in there and the address they have is not correct. Or they don't have a working phone number, or they need to verify something, then yeah, they do reach out. But prior to us having after hours, I was after hours. So yes, I would get called 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
There's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's a lot of work that happens after hours.
I definitely agree with that, because they called me after hours, because you called them out. I don't take it personal. No, that's interesting. Well, no, I'm not gonna touch more bases because it's a lot of different things, and to me, some of it speaks out security issues as well, in terms of what we're talking about, what we're telling people about how that works. So let me ask you this, just to sum it up. Is there anything that else, because there's a lot going on there in that shop over there. Is there anything that we would need to support y'all on to help you out with that? Because I just want to make sure that between the buildings and administrators that and the family, that there's enough support there. Now I must also give you all kudos. Because y'all when there's an emergency, y'all do go to the school and y'all do make sure that y'all have the whole kind of guidance counselors and a whole slew of support systems anytime something happens in the district. Because when I go there, it's like, oh, you too, you here too. Oh no, we got everybody beside the mayor. So I just you give people the public just do. We do appreciate that from y'all, from me and your staff. But I just is there anything else in terms of what that looked like in terms of resources?
Of course. A tier 1 resource that would be very helpful as well.
And how would you project that if that was to?
It would look like a phone number, a chat, or a text that could be available to students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where they can speak with a crisis counselor at any time. Anytime. 24/7, 365. Every student.
I thought we did also that to get to the
This is for any student. They don't have to be in services.
Yep.
They can just be going
They can
through
just
a
read the letter.
situation. Like they get really frustrated in class and need to vent. That's a resource that could be available. So,
They can't text in class anymore.
well, no, but they can.
School day.
But no, but what can happen is it can be an icon on
Right.
ClassLink.
Yeah.
And they can chat via
Yeah.
ClassLink to kind of help, and that may help. That can de-escalate the situation so that it doesn't get to the point of being.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I'm sure you've been listening to the conversation. I was just possibly thinking. I guess it's not. I gotta be careful. Cause I'm gonna say something about save some money. Boy, parents might get mad. You don't want to save no money on this type of topic.
I don't safety.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I do respect it. Yes, ma'am. I was just thinking possibly maybe she can bring us something back in terms of how she could project that and possibly get with technology in terms of possibly getting a link, because I know that technology do have the resources. I do believe they have the resources to possibly get a link added to the students' technology to be able to allow that. But once they link something together, the question would be who, where, what, when, why, and how we will get those resources. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Stratos.
May I,
Yes, ma'am.
maybe it's something to look into during budget season,
Okay.
because it's gonna have to be a house center.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so everyone
Okay.
doesn't see, and we can have it come back to the board.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
one of the items you thought we were going to follow, because there are companies that actually have a dispatch and house center, that this is, I believe, your intent maybe. Because if it lands in tech, who's managing?
Oh, yeah, no,
Right,
it necessarily land tech could assist.
it sits at the icon class link, but we need a vendor at the
Yeah,
back.
we can look into that.
Yeah, that would be, because you need a mental health. Is it track? So,
Yeah, I guess I ain't trying to help students.
That's a good point, Mrs. Smith. Anyone else have any comment or Mr. Dallas, Mr. Campbell?
I'm fine, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm fine, thank you.
No, I just want to say that this is a lot of information, and just like, you know, Mr. Dallas has said before, this district does so much for our children. There's so many programs and worker bees that they have out there to help our community and our kids. And this is just a small example of what academics does on a daily basis. So I really appreciate this academic committee for all that you do and all that you are doing and keeping abreast of. I was glad to see Gaggle. I don't remember Gaggle when I was teaching or working in the system, but thank you for keeping us up to date on our children. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I just wanted to let people know that the reason why that last subject was so heavily, and the reason why I asked that question is because there was a young student that needed some attention in this county. Something happened within the last couple of days, and there have been some signs of that student. I mean, of that young adult. I think asking for some help. So it was a little that
Okay.
there was having Mars, so that's why I brought some extra attention to that as well.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you.
Is it a unanimous consent to move OE 14 to consent agenda?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Ms. Cushenberry. And thank you, Ms. Murray.
You're welcome, thank you.
So where are we now on the,
You are on Health Advisory Committee update.
So Madam Chair, I want to thank you and Mr. Smith for your unanimous approval to move the both OEs to consent agenda. Greatly appreciated. Student Services has worked diligently under the guidance of Dr. Lee, who has been filling in. Dr. White has attended to our family. So thank you to the team. Greatly appreciate your work. And thank you, board members. Thank you. With that, I'd like to take your attention to the agenda. I would like to share that the Health Advisory Committee has been working, and as you know, Madam Chair, rather cohesively as a team. They have done a yeoman's job at reviewing the health and reproductive curriculum provided through our state adopted textbooks. You will see in front of you on the agenda actually 3 items, which are motions and recommendation. Joining me this evening is Amy Pryor, who is the Health Advisory Committee Chair, as well as our Coordinator of Physical Education and Health Services, Emily Gray. I have to say thank you to both these ladies because they were here late as well on Monday evening. And we felt that the urgency to come forward this evening so that we could bring this information to a board meeting as well. So with that, I'd like to turn the floor over to Ms. Pryor and Emily to give a quick update in regard specifically to each one of these recommendations. Starting with the first one is a recommended motion to have curriculum writing teams for modules in question with content not consistent with legislation. Will you have some specific points you'd like to bring forward or?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, we found, about 9 modules, across the textbooks of the middle school and high school, as well as the reproductive health supplement, that do not align with, our legislation based off of topics that are discussed in those modules. And so what we, the Health Advisory Committee would like to see about doing is getting curriculum writing teams to replace those modules so that it is compliant with state legislation, and then we wouldn't use those modules within the textbooks and the supplement.
So if I could build to that, board members, the curriculum writing will be in alignment to the standards and recognize that what is written would be brought forward to the board for their approval to be included in the health reproduction. I have to share that the committee consists predominantly of expertise in the medical field and education. We have had a diverse group joining us, but that group that has been the core of the work has been very stringent at monitoring and reviewing this work. In all truth, you'd be very proud of the work they brought to the table. And these materials would not be utilized until there is an approval from our full board, and we would bring the items forward at a workshop.
Thank you, Dr. Stratus. Any questions about this? Okay, I need a motion to accept the recommendation.
Madam Chair?
Mr.
Yes.
Dallas has a question.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mr.
I don't have a question. I just have a compliment. I have viewed a couple of the HSA meetings,
Mhm.
and the weight that they put on actually making sure that they triangulate with state law, with district, with all the, rules and regulations that are guiding their efforts is very admirable. And I think Ms. Pryor does a good job of making sure she solicits from everybody their opinion. So everyone feels comfortable doing that. And it is a worthwhile endeavor to actually see how that committee works. It's very impressive, and thanks to everybody involved. And of course, Dr. Stratus is there as a resource and to be able to provide insights that people may not have from their own personal experience. So just kudos on that.
Thank you, Mr. Dallas. Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to accept the recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And I second it. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Unanimous consent.
Okay, next we have 5.2. Recommendation, a motion to update current parent letter and to include a parent video and or for web pages on the Beaufort County School District website. Dr. Stratus.
Yes,
I mean,
if I could bring attention of our board members, you'll see in front of you is a current letter. What we are asking is we would like to update this letter, bring the letter to the board for its approval. Upon approval, we will then have it posted on our website. And this would be for sensitive areas that parents may want. We have to recognize you cannot opt out of Gavin's law nor Aaron's law. But we recognize that some parents may not want their child to hear other areas of reproductive health, and an alternate assignment has to be provided. That is as per our AR. Also, the highest recommendation was actually a parent video that a parent can go online, click, obtain information about the law, the legislation, and the purpose of what we're educating our students, because we want to be compliant to state legislation, and we'll also give a core understanding of the HAC. Any feedback from both you ladies?
You said, just, I think that the consensus at the meeting was that you want parents to understand on a simple level. The parent letter components have a lot of heavy worded, it's all necessary, but if it's a video, it might be easier for everyone to understand, and maybe you wouldn't receive as much pushback. That's me talking, if they understand what it is that their student would be a part of.
And we would have that translated, the letter as well as the video will be available in 2 languages.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from Mr. Smith,
Sure, no,
Mr. Dallas, Mr. Campbell?
None here, ma'am. Thank you.
I don't have any. Thank you very much.
By unanimous consent, I can move this to the agenda under academic committee, but it won't go on consent. It will be under your committee members so that the full board can vote on it.
Okay. Everybody agree with that?
Mr. Smith said yes.
yes, ma'am.
Mayor,
Okay,
just for clarification, will that be at the December 10th?
It'll be at the December 10th board meeting.
Okay. And we'll have to do. Okay. Sorry. Okay, Madam Chair, would you like to share the third recommendation?
yes, please. I can't read it, so please go ahead. There you go. I see.
Yes, there it is. I'm sorry, no, Counselor, go ahead.
Recommend motion to include postpartum depression resource in the high school material. And the background for this was there was conversation at the table. It is part of the curriculum, but it is part of the South Carolina Health Department provides supplemental material. The consensus at the committee was for young women and young men to understand what is happening physiologically once you have given birth, so that you're not alone. And there was some good, very strong conversations. I will turn this over to our committee membership.
Yes, we're very fortunate to have a couple of people who are within the medical field, actively within the medical field. And so the committee member that reviewed this module was concerned about the currentness of, I guess for lack of a better word, of
absent.
yeah, well, she said it was not very, there wasn't very much there, and what was there wasn't exactly accurate anymore for 2024 going into 2025. And so she wanted something a little more robust. And I think piggybacking on the two previous OEs with mental health and all that discussion, it kind of just goes back into that bucket of making sure that students are educated and have the resources available to them, but know what to look for, signs and symptoms. And that's where, whether it's a teen who might be experiencing teen pregnancy, or somebody who has a relative, close relative, a sibling, or a parent that's going through that. And then just for their future as well, preparing them for when they do decide to start a family, what to look for and what to expect.
Thank you, Mrs. Cushenberry. Mrs. Cushenberry is sharing the information right now that is from the South Carolina Department of Health, as many of us are referred to as DHEC.
Thank you. And again, we felt this was more in line with the high schoolers than middle school, right? If I remember.
Yes, ma'am, that's where this falls.
Okay. So any comments or questions from Mr. Smith?
No, just say, Madam Chair, postpartum. It's real, and it definitely has a place in this district.
Absolutely. Mr. Campbell, Mr. Dallas?
Nope, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing here, ma'am. Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you for your comments earlier as well. Okay.
Is it fine to move this as unanimous consent?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Board members, we do appreciate, and we will prepare for this to be brought forward on December 10th.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. At that, this concludes our presentation for this evening for the Academics Committee. I turn this back over to you, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you. And no, thank all of you, especially this academic committee, board members for attending this, Ms. Cushenberry, Ms. Molly, thank you guys. Are there any future topics?
Mr. Smith said no.
I have none either. I don't think so.
Do we want to schedule a meeting for December, which would be December 18th.
That would be up to the team.
I'll hold it as a reserve. If there is something that needs to be brought forward, then we will schedule it for December 18th. Otherwise, then we will conclude for this year.
Okay,
We
thank
may
you.
have-
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Can we adjourn by unanimous
So-
consent?
So, Madam, yes, so move, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you, board members.
No, thank all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
You
Okay,
too.
too.
Bye-bye. Thank you.